Good morning, everyone, and thank you today for joining us for the LX On Air Summit. This is the first day of 4 sessions. We will have a summit similar to this every day this week at the same time slot, and we'll go through different material each day. For day 1, we've got a number of speakers with us today. Again, myself, I'm the product manager for Infor LX. Lynn Hickey will be joining us, and she's a project manager. She's going to go over some Infor reporting capability, as well as Linda Taylor, who's one of our principal business analysts. And she will cover some of the Infor report capabilities as well. And Gray Emmel, who's a solutions consultant with Infor, will also be joining us to go over some IDF report capability. So, again, those are the speakers, but a little bit more detail of what we'll be discussing today. We're going to go over some of our newest offerings, and part of that is what's happening with Infor ION. At this point, probably most of you are aware of what ION is, but I'll briefly recap some of that so you're familiar with it again in case you haven't had a chance to hear about it. And then our workspace user interface is also an important part of that. And then we have an extension 2.1 release. So the extension is our communication layer with ION. So right now, we are on a 2.0 extension, and the 2.1 release is coming out at the end of this month. And that release is coming for us to support business analytics, Infor reporting, as well as an integration to Salesforce.com known as Infor. So we won't be covering that today. That's on tomorrow's agenda. But we will be covering the business analytics and some the reporting capabilities today that are being delivered or will be available via the 2.1 release of the extension. We'll also cover the IDF report writing capability. So this is another report writer that we have within our portfolio that is more of a tactical report writer, and you'll see the differences. And again, they complement each other and can be used in conjunction. If you look at the agenda today, there was also a comment that we're going to cover some of the new financials. There's been a change in the agenda, so we'll be covering that on Friday. So if you're expecting to hear that today, we will, just for time's sake, that's been moved to Friday. So let's talk about ION Workspace and the LX extension, as well as the business analytics. So it's all centered around ION. So again, ION is our technology, a proprietary technology for messaging across multiple environments, or as well as outside of our Infor area, such as the cloud or through third-party solutions as well. So LX is ION-enabled, and really what it does is it's a messaging format, a common messaging format. We use XML through Aegis type documents where we communicate documents like invoices, payments, customers, vendors, transactional information, as well as master data information through ION. And really what this is going to provide us now is providing information into that business vault. And that business vault is a layer, a database, so to speak, where we can do our reporting and our analytics from. So here's an example of essentially how it works and flows. So we've got in LX, and again, it can be other Infor applications as well as third-party applications. But let's take, for instance, a sales order. Sales order can be published from the ERP through an Aegis XML document and into ION. So once it's in ION, it flows into the business vault. We'll talk about that in more detail in a minute. But it can also flow into other things such as a warehouse management solution. And equally important on the right there is what we have something called social space. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well before we go into the dashboards and analytics. But the advantage of social space is that it gives us a way of communicating information within an organization. So right now, let's say you have something within an event within your business. A purchase order isn't received in time, or let's say a customer has exceeded their credit limit. Right now, you may see that on a screen, and you decide, well, you want to notify somebody, and you go into and you write an email, and you share that email with a coworker. And the idea is that a lot of times that communication ends up being lost. It may break off into multiple email chains, and the person that originated it may no longer be copied, and it ends up being that the communication breaks down at some point within the organization. So social space is a way of sharing that information in a controlled environment within the ION application, within Infor ION, so that everybody has access to it that should, and it's an environment where it doesn't become where it doesn't break down. So, very important thing that's coming in the future. You'll see more of this come around in forum. So, again, it's really just a way of connecting everything within the organization, whether it's transactions, data, equipment information, customer information, and just a way of linking that all together through a social network so you can share that information with your coworkers and colleagues without it getting, as I said, breaking down in communication layers. So the other thing that comes with ION in the Business Vault is now what we're calling the business analytics and business intelligence. So here we have an example here. Again, we're on the lower left, an ION flow where an application is submitting an XML document into ION and flows into the Business Vault. So once it's in the Business Vault, we have analytics like you see on the right here that give you a graphical representation of things that are happening within the business. Just a couple examples here of top 10 customers, top 10 products, top 10 salespeople. Again, there'll be a number of these analytics becoming available probably sometime in February for our LX customer base. Some of these are built on ION. You're running against a real-time database. Again, with ION, as the transactions happen, they flow through ION into the Business Vault. So the Business Vault is real-time data. So when you're looking at these analytics, you're looking at what's happening within the business at that moment. And again, these analytics are built for the micro verticals that we support. So they're very specific to your business and available to be used. What you're seeing here on the right is the new user experience will be issuing out in March. The screens, when we deliver them originally, will look a little bit different, but conceptually provide the same information. So for us to be able to support these, we need to be able to publish all these messages from the application through these XML format into the Business Vault. So with the Extension 2.1 release, here's a list of the BODs that we're supporting, that we're going to have available with that 2.1 release to support business analytics, info reporting, and Infor. So if you want more detail on these, we can talk about how you can get that later on. But again, this release is coming out late this month, and these are the BODs that will be supported. Again, BOD stands for Business Object Document, and that's the XML message, what we're talking about, that flows from the ERP into ION and down into the Business Vault. So we do have BOD support already in 2.0, but we're expanding that the scope of these significantly. And then here is what it looks like for an LX application. As I mentioned earlier, we're changing the color scheme. This is the current color scheme that we have today that will be released. This is the appearance you'll have when you first obtain the analytics, and we're changing that color scheme to be more white-based. But that is a common UI change that we're doing through all Infor applications. But this is the appearance that you'll have. Again, this is now an LX application showing the analytics specifically for LX within Workspace. So that is what's coming in terms of analytics, and we'll go into more of that at Inform if you're interested in seeing more about the analytics. But for now, we're going to focus a little bit more on the Infor reporting capability. So I'm going to pass this to Lynn Hickey, and she will begin sharing information in regard to the report capability.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I'm not seeing it yet. I think it's still coming over. Okay, I believe I'm sharing my desktop now. This morning, we're going to start talking about the accounts receivable reporting. And as you can see, we have several types of reports: aging reports, memo reports, open receivables. first report we're going to talk about is the AR aging. Within the aging report, you have several options here. You can age based on due date or discount date. You can also select your company. These are the different parameters. When it has an asterisk on the left-hand side here, that means it's a required field and you must enter and select the company. You also have the option to search, basically, on different customers. And today I'm going to just search based on a customer I already have set up. The information on your search then will come in through this available field, and you select the particular customers you would like to see aging on. And then you execute your report. The top of the aging report, all the reports have the selection criteria. So this one, again, is based on due date, and I selected company 22. List the reports, the receivable information, so your invoice based on your date, receivable date, due date, discount date, the receivable amount, which is your original amount of your invoice, discount amount, received amount, so this is any payments or memos, and open amount, which is your remaining due. And then it has your aging, over 30 days, over 60 days, etc. And at the bottom, it lists for each customer that you selected your total receivable, total aging here. Okay, we'll take a look at one of the other reports, the AR aging summary. Within this report, again, you have the same options, due date or discount date. You also have the ability to select multiple companies at one time. So I'm going to select company 22 through 27. And with this report, I'm going to leave all customers within company 20 through company 27. So I'm just going to run the report. And here's the AR aging summary for all customers within company 22 is listed here. So on the left-hand side, you can see the customers and then their total aging. There's also at the bottom left here, you can see a page up, page down. If you page down, you're able to see the other companies, company 26 customers. You can keep going, company 27. Page up, you can go directly to the bottom. Also, within the AR summary, on the left-hand side, you can see there's an underline on the customer ID. If you click on that, you can drill back to see those customers' detailed AR balances. So all the invoices, this is the first report I showed you, you can see the details then of this customer. Let's look at the open receivable detail report. Within this report, again, you select based on your company. You can select your customer again. Again, you have the option, so you can do anything, any type of keyword to select your customer range. And then receivable types, credit memo, debit memo, invoice, prepaid. I'm going to select them all and run the report. And you can see you have open receivables for this customer, receivable date, due date, again, same thing, discount date, receivable type, so invoice, credit memo, debit memo, whether it's open, well, all of these will be open, obviously. And again, your receivable amount, discount, received amount, current, and when it's past due. And again, sorry?
So let me ask you a question here. So if I execute this report, tomorrow, and I want to use the same criteria, is there a way to save that criteria so I can execute it the same way tomorrow?
Yes. There is option right here, keep this version, save as report. And it brings up this window here, and you can rename the report or use the default view. You can maybe rename it to something more specific of your criteria. Let's just call this one Company 22 for the open receivable report. And you have the option here, location, if you want to select another location to save it to, or if you want to select and put it in your folders. I'm going to select my folders. Okay, so this report is now saved in my folders. And you can see at the top right, top left here, public folders, this is what I've been executing through. And there's another tab, my folders. And within my folders, we now have report view of open receivable Company 22. If I execute that, it doesn't bring you to the selection screen again. It just basically executes based on what you have saved.
Yeah, that's very convenient. It's a good way of saving the report to be executed later.
All right. Okay, let's go back and look at some of the GL reports now. So within the GL, there's also several options, actual period balances through a specific period. We're going to look today at the actual period balances report. And within the GL, company refers to your ledger book. So I'm going to select my ledger book. You also must select your accounting chart. And I want all my accounts within that, so I'm not going to select any criteria there. You select your financial calendar, your year, period, and at the bottom, the report can be run based on your full GL account, or they call nominal account, which is your natural account. So you can see the actual period balances. Again, the sort criteria comes in of what you've selected. Company, again, ledger book. Accounting chart, all accounts within this ledger book for period 12 of 2012. It lists on the left-hand side your balance sheet, profit and loss statistical account information, so the account type. Again, I ran it based on my natural account. You could see these are my natural accounts, the description, my balances, debit and credit, and total balance of the account. And then it gives you at the bottom, it lists the ledger book information total. Okay. So I'll show you this once more. We can run it for the full account so you can see that difference as well. Again, you select your ledger book in the company selection criteria, your accounting chart, financial calendar, your year, period 12, see all of them. So you can see the full GL, my breakdown is company profit center account. You can see how that looks. All right, we also have another option. Let's say you only want actual period balances is the only report that you really run regularly. You can select and add this report to My Folders and have a shortcut to actual period balances. You can add any type of description you want or some type of tip for you. You can also select this folder and to add this to another location. It defaults to the My Folders. And this way, you can come in and go directly to the tab My Folders and it lists only the reports you're interested in. Okay, and then this way you get the reports that you're interested in and want to see those. So I'll bring you back and show you. Again, right here, the public folders, here's My Folders. So these are reports that I have, that I run often. The shortcut, the difference between report view and shortcut is, the shortcut is going to bring you to the selection criteria and you enter that information again. So those are the difference between the two. This way you can run different things. Let's say you want to just see specific accounts or, multiple, maybe you're interested in different ledgers and books. You have the option to come here and select from that. So Linda Taylor is going to show you a few more of the reports that we have. I'm going to pass presenter role to Linda.
Thank you, Lynn. I was on mute.
While this is loading, I just want to interject something here. So one of the values here with Infor reporting versus the reporting that you have today within Infor LX is it gives you an opportunity to commingle data that may come from either other Infor applications or, for that matter, multiple ERPLX instances. So if you've got multiple sites and you haven't been able to get those environments or those sites down into a single instance, and you still have multiple databases. So that's one of the advantages of ION is you can be publishing from both those different environments into a single ION environment. And then when you're looking at these reports, now you'd have the opportunity to get a enterprise-wide reporting, even though you have multiple ERPLX databases. So that is really truly one of the values that comes out of the Infor reporting as well as the analytics, is because it's coming from that business vault, which is, again, a single database across all your enterprise. So, Linda, if you're ready.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Good morning, everyone. What we're looking at here on the screen is the business vault and each of the folders within the business vault. So you'll see that it has a payables, receivables, a GL, purchasing, sales, and metadata as well. And then, as Lynn showed you, we have My Folders. And if you wish, you can copy an entire folder into your My Folders, or you can copy a single report. You also, I'm going to show you some reports on accounts payable and purchasing. So we'll go in there, And you can also copy individual reports. Lynn was showing you a couple of ways. There's another way as well. You can just click on the report and do a simple copy and paste, and it will ask you where you want that report to be copied to. And you can just click on My Folders and then paste that report in My Folders. One of the things, you can change those reports. They come predefined, but you can change them. You just have to copy them into your My Folders option first, and then you have some different options of being able to open that report with Report Studio, or there's another option as well with an Insight option to look at the report. And that's where you could make some changes, rename that report, and basically customize the report. You'll see this is sort of the layout of the report, and you'll see here that we have the opportunity then to drill down into where some of those fields came from. This is our source, so we can choose companies, items, that sort of thing. So this is when you start to customize reports. We'll take a look at some of the predefined ones in accounts payable. So we did copy an AR aging detail report. Let's take a look at an open payables register. Again, you'll see the same selection criteria that Lynn was showing you. When you see a red asterisk here, that means this is a required field. And if it's a required field, your Run button will be grayed out until you've selected some of those required fields. So you have the option of selecting all companies, choosing one or two or several. I'll just check the one I have data in. And then you have a number of options here that when you're searching, in this case we're searching for suppliers. So if I'm searching for a particular supplier, I can enter a number, I can enter a name, say I want anything that contains my name, just find me those vendors. It'll bring them back in a list here. And then I have an option of selecting all of them, or again, just selecting a few from my list and saying, okay, I'd like these few, put them over here, choose a date of when I want to run this. And then I could choose an individual type of payable, or I can just leave, if I leave the selections there, I can either select them all, or if I don't specifically select them, it will include them all. And I can just run that report. And here you're seeing your open payables report. You have all your selection criteria at the beginning of the report, and then the report is broken down into different sections. In this case, we're dealing with company 22. That's the only company I selected, but I happen to have records with two different currencies. So I'm then seeing, here's the one record I have in this currency that's different than this currency. So it just lists all of your information, your vendor, supplier name, dates, payable discounts, your ID, invoices amount, discounts taken, remaining amounts, what's been paid. And again, you'll be able to page down, go directly to the bottom of the report, or while you're in the report, you can also choose to keep this version as Lynn showed you.
So Linda, let me ask you a question back to kind of what Lynn was showing about a way of saving the criteria so you can run the same report tomorrow. But what if I want to capture it today as is and share that report information with today's data? Because obviously if I just do save the criteria and somebody runs it tomorrow, we're going to get different results.
Exactly. Oh, you have some options here of viewing this report in a different way. We're looking at it right now in HTML. But if I want to export it to Excel or just to look at it in Excel, I can view it in Excel, and then I can choose whether I want to open the report or whether I want to save the report. So this just gives me some different options of viewing it. So I'm just going to open this one in XML. So you can see the report in Excel, the same report, and if you wish to save it, change some columns, do something there, then you can certainly modify that as well. I also have, you saw some other options there as well. Maybe I want to put it in a nice PDF format and send it to someone. So I can just select that, bring it up in a PDF format, and you have the same report, but if in a different layout, basically.
That's very very nice way to be able to share that information, and as well having it in Excel is a nice way of being able to, if you need to sort it differently or do some additional calculations.
Well, yes, it certainly makes it easy. Okay, we'll take a look at the AP aging detail as well. And again, you'll see just our regular selection criteria here. Normally, because we're in a test environment, you normally may not have that many companies and to choose from, but we've got lots of data here. And you have some options. On some of the selection screens, you'll see there'll be more and more options, and you can also exclude certain types of statuses of records that you're looking at. So in this case, it asks you if you want to exclude unapproved invoices. Again, we're looking at by supplier. So normally you'll get your selection criteria at the beginning, and then you'll get individual breakdowns. So here it's by supplier, by currency, then the invoices within that section, and then our normal aging. By vendor, and then just individual totals by that particular vendor. And I'll just show you some selections. The cash requirements report has a number of selections. I'll just show you it's a slightly different we can, in this case, we can exclude any disputed invoices or any held invoices so that we're just looking at those that we're going to have to pay in a particular time. You'll notice as well that the payable status, and when you're looking at the reports in ION, a lot of them are based on the status. You'll see that once we get into purchase orders as well, that a number of them are keyed on what status we're selecting. So these have all been vouchered, and they're in the system. We have a discount allowed, what's open, what payable amount in base, and we often, in a lot of the reports, you'll have base and transaction currency on the same report as well so that you can see both. And we'll just take a look at some reports in purchasing as well. And sometimes you'll get a list of reports where there are more than one page of reports. The little arrows here will allow you to go to the next page of reports. I'll go to open purchase order quantities by item. And in this case, you'll see that we also have a selection criteria of buyers. So you can choose an individual buyer, an individual supplier, and right down to items. So you can get very specific in what you're looking for on the report. leave it wide open on items so we see everything. And then I'm just going to check my delivery date. I want to see anything that hasn't been delivered for a while. And so this just shows us individual, individual. It starts off with buyer, and then within that buyer, the number of suppliers. So in this case, we're looking at, this is an unknown buyer, so this particular vendor and these items did not have a buyer attached to them. And then I can just page down, and each individual buyer will have the item that was purchased, the purchase order, and the quantities that are associated with it in both purchasing unit of measure and in base unit of measure. And I just want to show you the PO transactions by supplier because it has a nice drill-through function. And we're looking at all the PO details, so we're looking at a list of by supplier and company, the individual document, and I selected quite a wide range, and then the purchase order number, the order type, if we have different types, buyers, and the amount. And you'll notice on here that the order number, the PO, is highlighted. So it's just listing the POs, but when you see that highlighting, it means that you have a drill-through capability. So you're able to click on that order ID, and it will take you to a PO, that specific PO that we're looking at. So we just want a little bit more information about PO 493. So we select it from here. We're going back to see the individual details on that PO. So we can see here the items that have been ordered, and we can see the quantity that it's been ordered in, and what the order quantity was, what's been delivered to date, any remaining quantities, any back orders, what our stocking unit of measure is as opposed to our purchasing unit of measure, and also currencies and then totals. So it gives you a total by the location. So we're looking at this was ordered into a specific warehouse. So we see a total by the warehouse, a total by the item, and then it gives you a total by the required delivery date, as well as an overall total. And in this case, I just wanted to show you that this is one way to get back. I could just return to a menu, or I can get back to the previous report that I was looking at. So I drilled through from a summary report into this individual detailed report. So we'll just take a quick peek at past due purchase orders. Again, you have buyers, suppliers, and items. In this case, I'll just select suppliers as well because we have a lot of suppliers in here. I'll narrow it down. Okay, so again, we're just looking at company, particular buyer, if you wish, a particular supplier or multiple suppliers, all items or just a few, certain time period. And it lists them by buyer and supplier. And then within that supplier, it also gives you the main contact information. So if you're looking, because they're past due, if you're looking to contact someone, that information is there for you. And then it goes by individual item, where it's shipping to, when it was supposed to be delivered, the order, purchase order number and line, and then getting into, if you have references to a production order or a sales order, it will show you that, as well as the order quantity, delivered quantity, anything back ordered, and your regular units of measure in both purchasing and stocking. Okay, so that's a little taste of what's there in the purchasing report. I'm going to turn you over to Graham now, and he's going to talk to you about IDF.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. While Gray's transitioning here, so again, this is, an enterprise. What we just saw here was more of an enterprise reporting solution. And what Gray's going to talk about is the IDF report writing capability. So those of you already familiar with IDF understand the value of it in terms of looking at your data in LX and, sorting it and subsetting it into all various types of views. So there was an IDF release recently that added report capability, and that's what Gray's going to go into more detail about. But it's a tactical report writer, and you'll see the difference here as he goes into it.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Well, what we want to look at is of course, the reporting capabilities, new reporting capabilities within IDF, and of course, IDF is the metadata layer presentation tool for LX. So one of the things we can do, let's look at customer orders. That's typically something we need to get some reporting from. And this is a view of our data, includes open orders and closed orders. We really don't want to see closed orders, but in this case, we want to look at a subset of our information. The subset being which rows across here I want to look at. Let's look at all opened orders. Just select that. That's the data we want to base our report on. Also, we need to sort this. Right now, it's sorted in occurrence order. We're going to come down. I preset some sorts. The one we really want is sold to, customer, and order. All we need to do is select that. Of course, that's going to sort that immediately. Now, we've got something to base a report on. What I'm after is a report, in this case, by my customers of all their orders and their quantities, because I have a total order amount here. Now, under File, you have the ability to export this information. Prior, this was exporting to an Excel spreadsheet or a printed report, but no capability to subtotal. And that's what has been added. So if we go to export, what we can do is we can send it to the clipboard. If I send it to the clipboard, then I can put it on any document, particularly Excel in this case, and or I can go to a file. I'm going to call this orders, just so when it copies it out, I'll be able to find it. Orders. I'm going to send it to a PDF format. Right now, I can go to PDF, HTML, or simply text. I'm going to do it to PDF file because I'm going to need to send this to someone. New with this release is the ability to do a report. We select on this. We've always had the ability to just take what you see here and send it to Excel or text or PDF. But now we can create a report out of it. Select this, gives me the ability to say I want to include subtotals. I can give it a title. I could change that title. I could give it some messaging internally into the report. And I'm also able to kind of deselect some of these fields. These are fields that I really don't need to bring over to a report. I'm just going to get rid of them. Deselect them for my report. It doesn't deselect them off of the subset at all. And I'm left with total order amount, which now I want to total. So I'm going to change that. Here's the button to define or set up my reporting, and I can decide what kind of subtotal statistics I want. In this case, I'm going to total them. Simply continue, and now it's got my statistics there. I'm ready to go. So all I need now is apply it and continue. And it's just created. Down here, we created my order report. So here's my order report. Let's do this again. So here's the report I would get. I've got here. I'm totaling. Bring my totals out. It shows me a quick little report. I can send that out if I want. Now I can also go back and I can do this again. And say what I want to do is I'm just going to send it to list. Here's my report. Cancel that. Let me see. What have I got here? I'm going to send it to an HTML form. So here's my HTML of that same. Difference in HTML is I can make it any number of fields I wish, and there's no restriction. It's going to fit all on one page. I could do the same for a PDF, but it would end up with multiple pages on width. I don't want that, but in HTML I can expand it to anything I wish. So there's the same report to an HTML document. Again, I can do the same thing by exporting it to Excel. Should have the same report. Let's make sure. Yep. Continue it. It's going to chop it off because I've got my level, the number of objects set in my setup to be 100 records, but I'll still take it just for demonstration purposes. Bring up Excel and paste it. And now I can expand my fields as I wish. So I have a lot of capabilities on presentation and the reporting I wish to use. And that is reporting, the new reporting capabilities within IDF. Pretty simple, easy to use. I can do the same thing. What I can do here, I can do to any other process. I can do the same thing for procurement. I could go and do the same thing for vendors, for purchase order lines, easily, quickly.
Thanks.
That's it.
Thanks, Gray.
Certainly.
So again, this is obviously a very different type of reporting that we saw through Infor reporting through the Business Vault. So this is obviously with current IDF inquiries, if you're familiar with them, you know the type of ways that you can sort and subset that data as Gray was showing. And so it's just a way of, again, for looking maybe for past due invoices that are past a certain age for over a certain dollar amount, and then you want to get it into a report. That it gives you some capability that you may not have in the Infor report writing, because it is much more at a granular level. So that is kind of covers today's presentation. Let me get back to the screen here and what we'll be doing for tomorrow. So thank you for joining us. Tomorrow we're going to go over our supply chain execution. We'll be showing our our other extension products within the Infor portfolio that work with LX, or will be working with LX very shortly. So supply chain execution, EAM, and Infor. Again, we will be sending out links to the webinar sometime probably late next week, so you'll have a recording if you want to share it with your coworkers. And then if you have any questions in regard to getting a demo or more product information specifically, there's some contact information here. As a reminder, Inform is coming up in April, so if you're interested in that, it's a great way to collaborate with peers and meet some of our developers directly. So that's coming up again in April. And so now we'll open up for questions. I know we're running a little bit late here. We don't have too much time for questions, but Kirk, if you could open it up.
Certainly. At this time, I'd like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star and the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. Once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star and the number 1. Your first question comes from the line of Nestor Mercado. Your line is open. Nestor Mercado, your line is open.
Yeah, this is Cesar. The only question I have is, what's the? So I was familiar with Infor 10 reporting.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other reporting tool? Is that IDF?
Yeah, so the IDF reporting tool, if you're on LX release 833 or 834, we released the IDF inquiry capability with those. It's really, we've got inquiries over 140 LX application or objects over key business areas. Within that IDF client, the report capability that Greg demoed is embedded in that inquiry capability. Now that option, you have to check what release you're on. If you don't have the capability that he was showing you, you're probably not on the latest IDF inquiry release. So you can contact support and get the latest client, which would provide that inquiry capability. So that is included with part of your maintenance. So again, when we release the IDF inquiries for 833 and now available for 834, that inquiry capability is included with LX as part of your maintenance cost. And again, with that, you get the reporting capability that he showed as well. Does that answer your question?
Sort of. And then the follow-up to that is, I'm on PRMS 8.4.
Okay.
So I had looked at Infor 10 reporting, last year and the year before, but it was just too expensive. So really, IDF is not available to me, or is it?
Well, as a PRMS customer, you have an option to upgrade to LX if you're interested. We've got migration tooling available to do that, which would get you to LX, and you'd have this report capability that we saw here. Infor reporting is again not included with the core product, but if you have questions again as far as pricing, the contact information on the prior screen, again, Garth Weber listed here. He can give you updated pricing on that if you need it.
All right, thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Robin Lynch. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you. I had a question on the ION. I mean, right now we have ERPLX, and we are using the Snappy tools. Is this replacing Snappy, or is it complementary to it? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's complementary with Snappy. So Snappy is a way of bringing data into LX, often now referred to as, unfortunately there's a lot of terminology and it gets confusing, I know. But Snappy is a way of bringing data into LX from third-party solutions, right? You're probably using it to maybe bring in purchase orders or customer orders, I would assume.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so those customer orders that come in through Snappy, because they are at that point a regular customer order in LX, they could then be published through ION. Okay. So that order doesn't become any different through Snappy as if somebody keyed it in at a workstation and flowed through to ION and then Infor reporting. So they are complementary. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Robin.
We have no further questions at this time. I'll turn the call back over to the presenters.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us today. I hope this was informative. Again, we'll have another session tomorrow, and we'll cover those extension products that we mentioned, EAM, SCE, and Infor. I think you'll find those to be informative as well, and hopefully you can join us then. Thank you very much for your time.